Just a short video on a lamp that I have in my collection. Actually, I have quite a few of these because I got a really good deal on them. Which is interesting for not the greatest of reasons. First off, the branding. Acelux Holland. There's this RS, rough service, and that's actually what this hammer striking a thingy symbol is. It's actually a common thing to denote rough service lamps in Europe. Oak range. No idea what that's supposed to mean. Usual efficiency, blah-de-blah. And a product of Acelux Holland, except it's appredenkt of Acelux Holland. I've actually looked this up. The only Acelux related, or the only Acelux company I've found that's in any way related to lighting is some kind of distributor in Singapore, and I'm pretty sure this lamp was not made in Singapore. Then if you look at the end here, again that hammer smashy symbol, CE mark, which means absolutely nothing when there's no standard that it references, and GLG, obviously supposed to be GLS, or General Lighting Service, along with Vibration Service. Never mind that they spelled it Vibration Service, but those are two different applications, and thus two different lamp types. Reinforced filament, which for whatever reason they actually spelled correctly, and for shipping only, which is also present on the outer case that these lamps came in. No idea what that's supposed to mean. And of course on the bottom, manufactured to IEC 64 and ISO 9001, which is basically a complete bunk standard that's designed to drive small companies out of business because they aren't able to afford the bribes. And this, which on its own isn't indicative of a crap lamp, it's just a marking thing so that one box can apply to a whole bunch of lamps. Just need some guy with a felt tip pen or whatever just to mark off whichever boxes are relevant, and should it need to be done, right in the information like potential and power and what have you. Now onto the lamp, which, yeah, at first a glance looks like a fairly cheap GLS lamp, except there's little things you note, like how the support wires, besides being bent off to one side, like there's some kind of torsion applied to the mount assembly while those were being put into the support button. They're not bent up slightly so that way the filament is all in the same plane. Instead it bends down from the hook ends of the lead-in wires down to the plane where the support wires are. Then you can see there a little bit of a glass defect right there where it looks like one of the support wire insertion heads actually hit the button while it was still very soft and pulled a little chunk of glass out of it. Now that little hole in the glass tube, that isn't a problem. What that is that's a small hole that's poked in the glass tube that forms the support stem for the filament support button. So that way gas pressure can't build up inside that tube and break it when the support button is being formed. And of course we go down here and some pretty bad glass work right in the vicinity of the flange seal where the lead-in or lead-in wires support stem are. That's not a good sign, just because stress concentration, and also when you see glass working that bad, it can be indicative that the lamps weren't properly annealed at the factory, and so residual stresses in the envelope could lead to what is known as ring-off, where there'll be an annular crack that forms all the way around the base, or in the vicinity of the base where the flange seal is, and so the outer envelope will break off of the lamp. And that causes three different problems. First off, the lamp fails and burns out, and so if this is, say, the only lamp in a room, well, bye-bye light source. Second, the envelope crashing to the ground forms a broken glass hazard. And third, it now means that you've got exposed, in the case of this 230 volts or whatever, on the lead-in wire, so it's an electrocution hazard as well. Does employ a brass base, but you can see that it's been kind of a little bit dinged up around the periphery there. And then, of course, if you're an engineer familiar with this stuff, you start seeing more problems, like, for example, note how the lead-in wires in the support stem are about the same thickness as they are in the actual pinch seal. That means that this is an unfused lamp, and so it's prone to catastrophic arcing and actually explosion at end of life because there's no fuse to quench the arc that can form, especially at 230 volts. So yeah, it's not a screamingly high quality lamp, and I use these really for applications where I don't care if the lamp inadvertently gets destroyed, because they're not really super valuable, they're not high quality, and also I typically use these on many hundreds of feet of extension cords, as I've covered in a previous video on my methods of doing that. So catastrophic arcing isn't as big of an issue when you've got, you know, more than 10 ohms of equivalent series impedance from your extension cords. But yeah, it's really interesting as a collector specimen, but not super high quality. And this may not actually be made in China. I have no idea where this was made, but it could also be made somewhere like India or Pakistan, because they also, especially Pakistan, have lampworks which make these extremely low-grade lamps for, you know, their own markets.